I'll call the meeting to order. Could Mary Worrell, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, be seated.
Fire evacuation plan. Please note that in the event of an emergency, the fire department has requested that legislators and all others move at least 1 block away from the county office building in order not to impede the firefighters in their duties. Cell phones. Please silence cell phones for the duration of the public hearings and session. Microphones. Please be reminded to use your microphones when speaking so that you are recorded for the official record. Roll call. Archer.
Here.
Bartels.
Here.
Bruno.
Here.
Cahill.
Here.
Corcoran.
Here.
Criswell.
Here.
DeLon.
Here.
Donaldson. Fabiano.
Here.
Goveris.
Present.
Green. Haynes.
Here.
Hepner.
Here.
Blitz.
Here.
Lopez. Mayo.
Here.
Parity.
Yep.
Petit. Roberts.
Here.
Ronk. Uchitel.
Here.
Walter.
Here.
And Waro.
Here.
23 present and no one absent. Tonight, we have 2 public hearings. Our first public hearing is on proposed local law number 6 of 2021, a local law repealing local law number 2 of 2013, and establishing the Ulster County School-Based Mental Health and Safety Act of 2021.
Do we have any people signed up for this?
We do. We have 1 speaker signed up, and he is present. It's Christopher Farrell.
Chris?
Good evening, and thank you for having this hearing on the proposed law number 6. I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself so that you can understand where I am coming from. I am a clinical social worker and have been practicing in the mental health field for over 30 years. Over 10 of those years were exclusively with youth. In addition to being a practicing clinical social worker, I have served on the Kingston School Board for 10 years and the Ulster BOCES Board for the past 7 years. So I offer a unique perspective of someone who has worked in the mental health for many years and as a trustee for local school districts for over 17 years. First, I want to applaud the legislature for considering this law to provide funding for school-based mental health services. In New York State, since the mid-1950s, there's been an attempt to transform and recodify the delivery of mental health services. By the late 70s, they had developed OMH, OMRDD, and OASA to oversee the delivery of community-based mental health services. This was in response to a movement to deinstitutionalize people within the mental health system. New York State also saw it as a means of saving money. Years ago, Ulster County had an excellent mental health and substance abuse treatment program. The previous administration dismantled it, first by privatizing substance abuse treatment, then moving services for children to Astor, and then adult services to family services. A handful of Ulster County mental health staff remained, and the end result was catastrophic to clients. Where there once was minimal staff turnover, there is now frequent changes in staffing. Where there was once a difficult but manageable caseload, there are now caseloads that average 80 to 120 patients per clinician. I can tell you as a mental health clinician, there is not a clinician who can deliver quality care while managing a caseload anywhere near the range of 90 clients. The cost savings, I am sure, was significant to the county, but at what cost to the lives of the clients and their families? Let's take a moment to talk about inpatient mental health services delivered by Health Alliance. In their wisdom, they decided to close the inpatient services in Kingston and move all inpatient services to Valhalla. Imagine if your loved one had a mental health crisis and you had to go to Westchester to support your family member or friend. Another cost saving, but at what cost? I support County Executive Pat Ryan's efforts to bring the services back and urge all legislatures to join him in the effort to lobby Health Alliance to return emergency mental health inpatient services to Kingston. 2.75% of the net sales tax is a small price to pay for adding to our much deleted mental health services in Ulster County. I urge unanimous support for proposal law number 7 to establish funding for school-based mental health services. I hope this is a beginning of the restoration of quality mental health services in Ulster County. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone else signed up for?
There's no one else signed up for this hearing.
Does anyone in the audience wish to speak on this public hearing? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, motion moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? None opposed? All right. That public hearing is closed.
Our second public hearing tonight is on proposed local law number 8 of 2021, a local law amending the code of the County of Ulster, Chapter 304, Solid Waste, Article 4, Food Waste Prevention and Recovery in relation to composting, and there are no speakers signed up.
Does anyone in the audience wish to speak? Seeing none?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Second.
Made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That public hearing is now closed. We go to the regular meeting. All righty, got lost a little bit of my paperwork. We'll start out, we do have one birthday for the month, and that is that young man, Brian Cale, in the back of the room. 39 again. There are various communications on file that your committee approves, along with committee reports, and I guess we can start the public comment period.
For public comment, we have 4 speakers signed up online and 1 person in the audience, and that person is Phil Erner.
Let him come first.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Legislature. Good to see you here. I ain't got no home. I'm just a rambling round. I'm just a wandering worker. I go from town to town. Conditions make it hard wherever I do go. Ain't got no home in this county anymore. I know this is comment, so this is not a dialogue right now, but Legislature, please consider who here has ever been in a situation where you have been forced from your home. And also, I'd like you to consider if you've ever been in a situation where you have forced someone else from their home. good cause eviction has passed in the cities of Albany, Newburgh, and Poughkeepsie recently. We have the chance to enact that here in Ulster County. Kingston is the second hottest real estate market in the United States, and we're in the money according to our county executive. One of the reasons I've been elected to join this esteemed body and serve next 2 years is to pass laws and to spend money in order to protect residents from displacement from their homes. What is our collective responsibility to use the money that we have and to pass the laws that we can in order to protect the most vulnerable? I find it embarrassing and outrageous that we have nothing on our agenda this month as we're approaching the winter to do so. Residents of my district face such circumstances as follows. A home which was resided in by the residents for 8 years, offered for sale by the owner at one price, and then COVID hits, and suddenly that home is supposed to be worth 3 times more. So they can't buy it, they're going to have to leave. Another resident whose mortgage payment went up by 2.5 times. So this is a bank acting in bad faith to force someone who owns their home from their home. And then many residents whose assessed property values are going to increase due to this.
Could you wrap it up, Phil? There's a 2-minute limit, and you're past it.
Yes, I will. Yep. Property taxes can also price people out. This is a systemic issue I'd like us to consider. Thank you for your time.
And we have people online.
We do. I think we're up to 5 now. And the first one is Elizabeth Voigt.
Hi, good evening. My name is Liz Voigt. I'm a homeowner in Kingston, and I want to speak with you tonight in support of countywide good cause eviction protections. My family moved to Kingston 3 years ago from Mississippi, so we're relative newcomers, but we came here for the diverse community and an affordable home. And since we've been here, we've watched the changes that were underway dramatically speed up with what we all know, huge increases in housing costs and wealthier families moving in around us. And I've lived in other cities as they've gone through gentrification waves like this. And we know from those other places that if the county and its cities don't act, it will result in massive displacement, particularly of low-income families and people of color. So good cause eviction is a critical part of the solution. It's just common sense that we need to ensure that families and seniors can only be evicted for a good reason and aren't subject to predatory rent increases. And it's good for all of us. So when families have housing security, their children thrive in schools, our social services face less demand, and we all benefit from community stability. So I strongly urge you to support good cause to protect renters and our whole community. Thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Diana Lopez.
Hi, good evening. My name is Diana Lopez. I am a resident of Ulster County, residing at 38 Sapon Street. And I am the community organizer with For the Many for Ulster County as well. And I just want to say that I'm very happy that Newburgh and Poughkeepsie, Hudson, and Albany, took the right decision in passing good cause eviction. Last month I was here sharing my personal story that of many landlords I went through. To me, it was very upsetting that I didn't see anything on the agenda to set up public hearing for this. And so I am here tonight to ask the legislature that, set the public hearing for folks to come out and again share their stories, what they go through with these landlords. Just because, delaying it, the eviction moratorium ends in January, we need this to pass before the eviction moratorium ends, or we're gonna have like even more families out in the street, children having to change schools in the middle of the school year. So many things that to me is very very to my heart. And again, please, we really need to step up as the other places did, and get this passed. Thank you.
The next speaker is Isaiah Morris.
Hi, this is Isaiah Morris, and I live in Kingston, New York, or the town of Ulster, actually, like right on the border. I've been volunteering for the Many for a while now, for a couple months, and I just wanted to show support for the public hearing as well. I think it's good to have the community come out and have their say as well. Thank you.
The next speaker is Maria Rosario Lara. Maria, can you hear us? I'm going to skip Maria for now and go to Bravin Ranga.
Hello, thank you all very much for your time. I'm here to urge the Ulster County Legislature to pass the good cause eviction legislation with all due haste. This legislation is supported by a majority of Ulster County residents, a vast majority, and would affirm the rights of the 57% of Ulster County residents that are renters. While I appreciate the legislature considering this legislation and advancing it to this point, particularly those members that we have spoken to that have expressed their support for this legislation, it is absolutely unacceptable that the legislature has chosen to continue to delay this process. It is unacceptable that despite intense public hearing, a public hearing has not even been scheduled. Because this process has been continuously delayed, it now seems too late for this legislation to be passed before the eviction moratorium expires. Because of this delay, thousands of residents will be now at a risk of eviction come January. Because this process has been delayed, there are tenants and families in Ulster County that will be evicted because this legislation was not passed soon enough. I urge the county legislature to follow the lead of cities like Poughkeepsie and Newburgh. But if Ulster County passes legislation, it'll be even more historic. By passing it at the county level, we have the opportunity to protect tens of thousands of tenants, and I hope the county legislature chooses to make that decision and passes legislation as soon as possible. Thank you all so much for your time.
Just want to try this one last person who signed up one more time. Maria Rosario Lara. Can you hear us, Maria?
Yes, hello? Yes, hello?
Go ahead.
Have you called Maria Lara?
Yes. Yep.
Hi, good evening. I'm calling because I'm very worried about the raising of the rents. I live in New Paltz, so my rent increased last year 10% and this year 11%. And next year I will start paying almost $2,000 for my apartment. And I feel really not protected by any law. And also all my neighbors are really worried about the situation, especially the senior citizens, because they are all afraid because they don't want to do something to protect themselves because they are afraid of the, the administration or the owners take actions against them. I'm also afraid of that. And my other concern is that there is no law that protects us as tenants, and we don't have any representation, legally speaking. So it's like if we were not exist. So so we are also, it's like if we were second-class citizens, and we work hard, we pay our taxes, and most of my money, most of my salary, more than 70% is going to rent. So the other 25% is for food, is for all my expenses. And what I have seen is my neighbors and we are getting very nervous, with depression. The kids are worried because they are afraid to be kicked out from the apartments if we don't have the money to pay the rent. So I don't think this is fair, especially in a country with everybody says that this is first world country where everybody is free, where everybody has a representation in front of the law. So we are not at all represented. So we really need a law that protects the tenants because we are also citizens and we are not second-class citizens.
Thank you. Is that the last person signed up? It is. And does anyone in the audience wish to speak? No. And the public comment is closed. And we'll start with the consent agenda.
Before, I'd like to move to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. And then regarding the consent agenda, we'd like to add resolutions 538, 539, and 540 to the consent agenda.
You have that, Madam Clerk. And you're good with that?
Yeah, no objection.
All right, so on the amended consent agenda?
On the consent agenda, we are a short yes.
On the consent agenda, we're a short yes with one abstention on Resolution 523, Legislator Litz, for purposes of employment.
The resolutions are adopted 23-0 with the exception of Resolution 523, which is adopted 22-0 with one abstention, Legislator Litz.
Alrighty, we start with the non-consent.
Non-consent Resolution 505, rescinding Resolution Number 333 of 2021 and establishing special revenue projects for transparent reporting, amending the 2021 capital fund budget.
Legislator Wrong?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Legislator Bartels, I'd like to offer the amendment as it's presented in our packets. It removes everything except for the transparent ARPA reporting portions of the resolution.
I'd like to second that.
Made and seconded. On the amendment?
We are a short yes.
We're a short yes on the amendment.
Alrighty, very good. On the resolution?
On the resolution, we are a short yes.
We are also a short yes.
Thank you.
The resolution is adopted 23-0 as amended. Resolution 517 is a bond resolution authorizing the design phase expenditures for retrofit lighting at the Department of Social Services building on Development Court in and for the County of Ulster, New York, at a maximum estimated cost of $55,000 and authorizing the issuance of $55,000 bonds of said county to pay the cost thereof. Archer.
Yes.
Bartels.
Yes.
Bruno.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Criswell.
Yes.
DeLon.
Yes.
Donaldson.
Yes.
Fabiano.
Yes.
Gaveras.
Yes.
Green. Haynes.
Yes.
Hepner.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Lopez. Mayo.
Yes.
Parity.
Yep.
Petite.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Ronk.
Yes.
Ushitel.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
And Waro.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted 23-0. Resolution 519, also a bond resolution authorizing the issuance of an additional $19,560 bonds of the County of Ulster, New York, to pay part of the preliminary engineering design expenses in connection with the reconstruction of the foundation at the county's Department of Social Services building in and for said county. Archer,
Yes.
Bartels,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Corcoran,
Yes.
Criswell,
Yes.
DeLon,
Yes.
Donaldson,
Yes.
Fabiano,
Yes.
Viveras,
Yes.
Green, Haynes,
Yes.
Hepner,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Lopez, Mayo,
Yes.
Parity,
Yep.
Petite,
Yes.
Roberts, Ronk,
Yes.
Uchatel,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
and Warrow.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted 23-0. Bond Resolution 521, authorizing the issuance of an additional $743,847 bonds of the County of Ulster, New York, to pay the part of the replacement of Sampsonville Road culvert in the town of Rochester, in and for said county. Archer,
Yes.
Bartels,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Corcoran,
Yes.
Criswell,
Yes.
DeLon,
Yes.
Donaldson,
Yes.
Fabiano,
Yes.
Viveras,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Hepner,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Lopez, Mayo,
Yes.
Parity,
Yep.
Petite,
Yes.
Roberts, Rock,
Yes.
Uchatel,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
and Warrow.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted 23-0. Resolution 528, a bond resolution authorizing the issuance of $3,150,000 bonds of the County of Ulster, New York, to pay part of the cost of the upgrade to the county-wide radio system for said county. Archer,
Yes.
Bartels,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Corcoran,
Yes.
Criswell,
Yes.
DeLon,
Yes.
Donaldson, Fabiano,
Yes.
Viveras,
Yes.
Green, Haynes,
Yes.
Hepner,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Lopez, Mayo,
Yes.
Parity,
Yep.
Petite,
Yes.
Roberts, Ronk,
Yes.
Uchatel,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
and Warrow.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted 23-0. The late resolutions were moved to consent, and that is it.
So we do have a public comment on anything that is not before the legislature. You can speak on anything.
We do have a speaker signed up, and that is Jeannie Edwards.
Hi, I'd like to, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, I'd like to thank you for pulling the resolution about the Samadhi. Not that it is needed very much, but keeping our neighborhood intact and safe and hearing the voices of the children and the people that live here. We'd like to say thank you and that we have been fighting this fight. We didn't know to go to you, but we got some direction just by climbing the ladder, and you heard the people's voice to keep our children safe. We do need these kind of programs, but not in residential neighborhoods. So I'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you, that it was so important. We've been fighting this fight for a very long time, more than 6 months, almost a year, and you heard us. And that means so much to the families on Liberty Street, Center Street, Clinton Avenue, and all around our neighborhood, that we were the ones directly impacted. And I just can't express, it is needed. Programs are needed, but not in residential neighborhoods. And we didn't know to come to you first. But you have given us knowledge and showed us that our voices mean something in such a time as this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeannie.
And okay, have a good night.
Can't hear you, Dave. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Legislator Litz, could you read those that are in memory of?
Yes, Chairman. Tonight's meeting of the legislature will be adjourned in memory of the following. The Honorable Alice C. Tipp, Red Hook, New York. Roger A. Rasco, Walk Hill, New York. Hermine Shu, Saugerties, New York. Anthony Falco, Marlborough, New York. Andrew Cochise, Gardner, New York. Orman Layton, Shokan, New York. Thomas Kearney, Kingston, New York. Bridella Smith, Grahamsville, New York. Rosalie Kilfoyle, Sawkill, New York. Elizabeth Blatter, West Hurley, New York. Tracy Kennard, Mount Tremper, New York. Terry DeGilio Vertanio of New York, New York. Paul D. Ostander, Gardner, New York. Barbara Winters, Modena, New York. Arlene Bernard, Modena, New York. Elizabeth Hunt, Kingston, New York. Joseph Sawyer, Mount Marion, New York. Mary Sawyer, Saugerties, New York. Howard Schultes of Bearsville, New York. Charles Martin of the Villages in Florida. Anthony Hackett of Saugerties, New York. Ernest Fabiano of Glasgow, New York. Vanderlyn Pine of New Paltz, New York. And Mr. Chairman, while I have the floor, I would like all of us to remember our veterans, especially those that made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom and allowing us to govern in a free society for the citizens of Ulster County.
Thank you, Legislator Litz. Does anyone else wish to add? Legislator Worrell?
I'd just like to take a minute to mention Alice Tipp. Alice served 30 consecutive years for Saugerties. She was certainly a trendsetter for women. I had the pleasure of the first year that I was sworn in that she was here, and Terry Bernardo was the first woman, chairwoman. And she'll be greatly missed. She was an amazing woman. Thank you.
Legislator Round?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to add the names of Dave Cordner and Kenneth Doolittle, as well as the name of Lori Fulford. I'd like to just say that, Lori was the beloved wife of one of my good friends and one of our Sheriff's Department lieutenants, Wally Fulford, who many of us know. Wally used to come before Tommy Briggs was helping us out here, keeping us safe. Wally came a lot of the time, and he did that because he wanted to keep us safe, and there was nobody else to do it. He was the shift lieutenant at that point when we were on, and he came to help us out. And so just everyone keep Wally in your prayers. I think her services were today. I do want to say a couple things about my friend Roger Rasco. Roger, to me, to many of us, he was the Republican chairman, and he was either a comrade or an adversary. To me, he was somebody I knew growing up. He actually helped me build my porch back in 2018. He was a pretty good carpenter, but he was a constituent and a friend and a father and a grandfather and a loving husband, and to Herb's point, a veteran who served our country. And I think of all of the things, father and grandfather and veteran were his most proud. I'm really going to miss him. I talked to him the morning before he passed away via text. He was up at his hunting camp having a grand old time, his favorite place. And the more I think about it, the more I think that my life is going to be poorer without Roger in it, and I think that goes for a lot of the rest of us too. So, thank you.
I just want to speak a few words about Tracy Kennard. Tracy owned the Brunette Wine Bar in the Rondout in Kingston, and she was an incredible light to anyone that walked in there, to anyone that she met. Over the last couple of days, I've heard some incredible words about her, and when someone's taken so young, it's hugely tragic, and especially when they were someone that clearly had such an impact on so many people.
Thank you. Legislator Bartels?
Thank you. I just wanted to add a couple words about a couple people. I served my first term with Alice Tipp, and it was a sometime chaotic term, and Alice was always, always the measure of civility. She was always a friendly face. She always had something nice to say. And she had such a surprising sense of humor. And I ran into her a few years ago, 3 years ago, at the Garlic Festival, and she was working the booth. And I just couldn't believe it. I said hello, and she came out, and we hugged, and we talked about being women in politics, and she cheered me on. And I just think she was an amazing person all around, and I feel lucky to have served with her. I also would like to mention Drew Cochis from Gardner. He was a dear family friend and a skydiving mentor to me. He was quiet and kind, a Vietnam veteran, and he's going to be severely missed.
And I also served with Alice, and she was an amazing woman. I know, and she was ever the optimist. I think she was 94, and she bought a brand new car. And that was Alice. I mean, she ran a couple of the committees that I was on, and she expected you to be there on time. And if you weren't there, you knew that she wasn't happy. But she was always fun, because like Tracy said, she had a unique sense of humor, and she was a pleasure to work with. She really was. She's always had nice things to say about people, and I would run across her a lot over time. I haven't seen her in quite a few years now, but I used to run across her, many different times, and she was always just so excited to see you and talk to you, and she made your day whenever you ran into her. And of course, her son Tippy was her everything. So, all right, the next meeting of the legislature, there will be the budget and capital program vote will be on December 2nd at 6 p.m. And the next regular meeting is Tuesday, December 14th at 6:30. Further meeting details will be forthcoming. Resolution deadline is Friday, November 19th, 2021 at noontime, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to adjourn the session.
Thank you. Seconded by Legislator Rock. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay.